Hey folks, Bruce here from 4 Low Life, and tonight I'm going to change the rear wheel studs on the 1984 BJ70 LandCruiser. Okay, so to remove the drum, what you may have to do is push your screwdriver through the back of the housing. There's a little slot. Push this retaining clip out in order to ratchet back the the shoe spacer. I didn't have to do that. So I've got the drum off, and as you can see, I've changed 2 of the studs already. You need to get your stud that you're going to remove to the very back. There's just enough space behind here to hammer these out. And what I'm using for hammering them out is an old brass drift that's broken the one end off, and my little, I think this is a 3-pound sledge, and you just put the brass drift on the end, and give it some taps. Once it pops through, you're going to have to wiggle a little bit, and what I find is you need to move the axle up and down a little bit just to get the right spot and the right angle to get it out. It's a very, very tight fit in the back. Of course, this one's going to be the one that doesn't like coming out, but it does fit. Okay, so there's the one stud out the back, proof they do come out. Take my new stud, same trick, going the other way, in the back, slide it in, and what I've got here are 3 washers. Make sure the back washer is big enough to fit over the flare on the stud and thick enough to take up the slack in it. I've got 2 more to help it rotate the nut, lug nut on there, and I'm setting these in with my impact on the lowest setting, which I know doesn't have any more guts than about 80, so it's less than my wheel torque. And all I'm going to do is drive it in. Take the nut back off. There we go, studs in place. Now I do need to torque it to the proper torque, but at least it's set and in place, and I can go around all of them. And you can see it doesn't take that long. Way easier than I thought it was going to be. So don't have any hesitations about doing something like this. It doesn't take any tools other than a hammer, a chunk of brass if you don't want to damage the old ones, and an impact gun and some washers. Go for it. Just change them out. They're cheap, and this one, I'm changing these because I actually broke one, and I happened to be about 800 kilometers away from home when it broke, and I'd much rather not have that happen again. Well, that was nowhere near as hard as I thought it was going to be, so if it's something that you're thinking of doing or thinking that maybe you should be doing, just go for it. Basic tools, a hammer, a punch, brass drift, and I'll tell you the secret behind why I did that. If you start hammering one of those out and you can't get it out and it's still good, you might need to put it back on with that one in there. So using a brass drift isn't going to damage the ends of the threads on the studs. Not that I'd recommend not putting a new one in. If you're taking it out, put a new one in. But if you run into trouble and you just can't get one out, at least you haven't mashed the threads on the end of it. So hammer, brass drift, impact gun, couple of washers, that's it. And of course some new studs. So there you go, take it for what it's worth. I hope you enjoyed it. Stick around, there's more to come. Thanks, bye.